Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting. Decided to do an impromptu video in preparation for my real conversation on Thursday, which is about getting a jump start on your aspirations and resolutions. And I'm doing it because I met a very, very, very dynamic sister who happens to be my sorority sister. But we just talked this morning and just had such a great conversation. She is also a fellow life coach. And as we talked about our journeys and things like that, I think it'll be a good conversation for us to have. Like I said, nice prelude into my episode of Real Conversations coming up this Thursday. So without further ado,
Hi.
hello, Sora Kellye Jones. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Oh,
Michelle.
thank you so much. I so enjoyed our conversation today. Literally, I can't believe we just talked today. You and I have been exchanging um Facebook Messenger messages after seeing some messages that you posted in our coaching um, page group, coaching group. And I mean, the rest is history, and here we are. So I appreciate you joining me for this because as we started talking, I was like, this really would be a good prelude to real conversation. So why don't we talk about how we both got into coaching, and then talk a little bit about life coaching, what it is to us, but even more importantly, I think both of us work with individuals who are trying to achieve goals, right? So whether
Right.
they start with the vision board, for me, I tend to start a little earlier where people are planning what it is that they want, have an idea. I know you start with people who know what it is that they're wanting to do, right? But I think we both landed in a place, no matter which place people come into us, it's about being intentional. So I want us to talk a little bit about that, right? So why don't
Excellent.
you, yeah. So why don't you start? Why don't you tell my followers who you are and what got you into life coaching?
Okay. So, again, thank you, Sarah Michelle Biggs. I really appreciate this opportunity. So, my name is Kellye Jones. I am a life coach. I am teacher, trainer, researcher. I've done several things to get to this point. An author of two books. Um, Basically, as I was working with adults, with my books and working with adults and training, as well as working with students, the one thing that I kept hearing over and over again is that people had goals or visions or dreams, but they were just giving up on them. They were like, I don't think I can do it, etc. And I kept hearing the excuses of why they couldn't. And my mom used to always say, "Don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution." So we started to talk about how they could actually get to their end goal and what are some of the tools, what some of the inventory, some of the people, opportunities that they have around them to get there. So that was kind of how I stumbled onto life coaching. But honestly speaking, I've been doing this since 1994 as a deaconess at my church. And then once again, oh God, maybe 1989, since 1989, 1990 with clients in the hotel industry. So with my clients, I initially go in, talk to them about business, but then we'd also talk about their personal aspirations as far as getting a promotion, making their company shine the best. One client I work with was trying to get the Malcolm Baldrige Award, etc. And how do they do? What are some of the bridges or some of the pathways that they can use to reach that end goal?
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because even and I've told this story to my followers as well. 34 years as a HR professional, now doing strategic HR, right, with very senior leaders, but the same thing, coaching day to day on various workplace type issues, but also doing work with people outside of the company who, naturally, I have been that person that people come to whenever they're wanting to figure out what they want to do, whether it's what they want to do in their life, if they're stressed, whatever that is, right? I've always been that helper type. So kind of fell into coaching from that standpoint, but really decided to go into life coaching, right? After my divorce, and I've talked about this before, really wanting to help people through that. But the one thing I would say, and you and I talked about this, no matter what it is, if you're looking to move forward, 'cause it is about moving forward and achieving those things, whether you dream about it, whether you call it aspirations, whatever it really is about being intentional. If you're not intentional
Mhm.
about getting to your destination, then 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be successful, right? You got to be intentional. So let's talk a little bit about that intentionality, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
what's your thoughts around that?
I think that some people are intentional. They really want to get there. They have that passion, they have that drive. But I think there's more in the vetting process or the task analysis to get to that end goal. So I to give you an example, I was speaking with someone who wanted to do more. She actually did not want to go to graduate school, and she was trying to figure out how could she brand herself to give back more to the community. And as we started talking through the different things, she was like, she did not necessarily say writing a book, but as we continued to talk, she mentioned, well, it would be kind of cool to write a book. And then once again, keep in mind that wasn't her initial goal. But then as we started talking about it and we started talking about the individuals that she would like to target, she's talking about targeting little girls. We started talking about the picture collection that she had. So she's in the process of creating a picture book. So she's still reaching that end goal of branding herself. It's just instead of using the mechanism that everybody else was telling her as far as going to graduate school, she's digging in and working with her strengths, her inventory. I mean, she knows photographers, she knows editors, she knows all these people, and having fun. Like she's excited about writing this book. Whereas when she was talking about going to graduate school, she wasn't excited. So that's what I try to do is I try to help people with intentionality, making sure that you're using your resources, not somebody else's resources or somebody else's you should or you ought or you're really good at this, so you should be doing this. No, that might be the pathway to get to your goal, but that doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, that may be a tool or a resource that you use on your pathway, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the totality of your pathway, that skill set that you have.
Absolutely. I talk about it from the standpoint of discovering the possibilities, because a lot of times we come into a situation, people come to us and they have one thing in mind, but to your point, there may be so many different ways to get there,
Mhm,
right? How do you
mhm.
pull that out? What I feel like coaching does is helping people to figure out the different options,
Mhm.
right? To your point, someone may have pushed her to do it through, going to grad school, but through your coaching with her, figured out there's other ways and that she could do it, right? And she
Right.
had to do it in a way that felt good for her. That's the other thing I tell people. You have to be authentic. I mean, it has to feel good to you. If it doesn't feel good to
Yes.
you, it's not right,
If
right?
you're not having fun, you're not going to be committed.
Yes.
After
Yeah.
if you're not having fun, it becomes rote and it becomes somebody else's opportunity. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, the thing that excites me is when my clients say to me, you know, I can do that. Whatever the vision was or whatever the dream was that they came to me with, that they said that they were overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They're like, I can do that. Okay, so now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to dig deeper on my own. I'm ready to do the research. I'm ready to do this. And that's what you really want, is you want people who are you want your clients to be excited about what they're doing, because they're going to do something um, that will not only satisfy their goal, their end goal, but will also wind up helping other people.
Yeah. And the one thing and something you brought up, you got to also be willing to do the work,
Yes.
right? The one thing about coaching is the coach is not going to tell you what to do. You
Nope.
know, what we do is we'll hear things and we may be able to pull certain things out of you basically because of things that you share. So obviously from your talking to her, you were able to unpeel there's something else here with her that she's wanting to do, but that wasn't the first thing she presented you with,
Right.
right? But after
And
talking to her, you realize there were other things that she had a passion about,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
skills and strengths that are underutilized, interests that's underutilized. And so the reason why I think a lot of people reach the impasse is they forget some of the little things that they always wanted to do or always wanted to be. She
Absolutely.
wanted to write a book when she was in like 7th or 8th grade. And she just thought, well, I don't have the skills to write the book. So she kind of pushed that aside. And as we were talking about her going to graduate school, and she was getting sadder and sadder because it was getting closer and closer to the time of classes starting. uh, you know, extremely sad, extremely
Okay.
sad. The class is starting, and we started talking about the book. And if you could have seen her light up as
Yeah.
to all the things that she had, and she was like, and I'm going to get these pictures, and I'm going to do this. And the next time I talked to her, she had actually found someone to edit her book. So she was already working with an editor. She found somebody to potentially um, not publish, promote her book as well. So she was so excited about what she had already until yeah. And Michelle, I'm not the traditional life coach. I'm a niche life coach. My clients are probably with me for about 12 sessions. And
Okay.
after 12 sessions, they will do like pop-ups. So they might have like a 15-minute update or something that they might want a checkup on, but they are really their self-efficacy, their self-confidence is like because they're working in their space.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And I'm glad you said that because for me, I find the same thing. If you're wanting to achieve, if you're looking to really pull through to achieve a goal, it takes time, right? It takes exploration. And if you're wanting a partner, a life coach can be that accountability partner to you as well. There are times where you can work with a coach and, 1 or 2 sessions. If it's something very small, it'll do. But what I find is that those people who are really looking for sustainability in terms of what they're trying to achieve, it is the longer sessions that help them to get there, right? To help unravel all the things that they're trying to do. So
And
let's
there,
talk.
because there are some people that are with life coaches for a year, 2 years,
Exactly.
and that is probably not my client base because once
Right.
again, like, I'm from New Jersey. I used to sell hotels for a living. And
Yeah.
so basically when you're selling hotels, if you don't sell that room that night, you will never ever get that revenue back again.
Yeah.
So my clients typically have a time deadline, and it's not a time deadline to. So when I say 12 sessions, I mean 12 sessions for a milestone. That doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean that they've already built the building, but
Right.
the 12 sessions may be for the foundation. And then
Yeah.
after the foundation, then they go off and they explore as to how they actually want to build. So it doesn't mean that after 12 sessions we stop. It means after 12 sessions we reach whatever that milestone was that they need to do further investigation. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's kind of the difference with me. And then once again, like I said, they'll do pop-up sessions here and there to continue. And if they reach another impasse, another creative impasse, or whatever it may be, but they're not able to find the right pathway or the bridge, then they'll say, you know, can you help me with this? um, can you help me with this particular area, or I'm contemplating
Mhm.
things in this
Mhm.
area?
Mhm. Yeah, and let's talk a little bit because I mentioned to you my next episode, my first episode of Real Conversations for this season 2, I'll call it, for 2021, is about getting a jump start on your aspirations/resolutions. People call them different things, and one of the things that you and I talked about is oftentimes people don't get past the date I saw was February. You mentioned January 19th is another trigger date, right? But people don't get past that point. What is it about that in your mind? Why they don't get past that point?
I think, Michelle, because they didn't plan it out. They didn't take the time out to really look at the amount of investment. So like, you work with a vision board, right?
I do different things. I do different things. Yeah.
So I've never done a vision board
Hmm.
because I think that that's a lot of things for me. But that has been one of the most successful techniques for a lot of life coaches with
Yeah.
helping people plan out the process. So if you're at the beginning part and you don't know what, you don't have an idea of what you want to do or anything like that, that vision board is so crucial for the planning process.
Yeah.
So understanding where you are in your goal, and after you understand where you are in your goal, finding the right life coach or finding the right person to partner with you.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that sometimes what happens is we come up with a goal, right? A whole lot of people have goals,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
but then understanding the process that comes along with that goal, like where you are in that goal,
Yeah.
and do you need like a little nudge, or do you need a whole lot of preparation to get you
Yeah.
through it? One of the things is I'm a researcher, and I have been writing research grants for 3 years. The vision came in 2010, but writing grants since 2017, and we finally received an invitation for a grant proposal. And with that process, um, I guess I had a whole lot of vision boards.
Uh-huh.
When you work with me in the beginning, I had a
Mhm.
whole lot of
Mhm.
different, and understanding the type of life coach that I needed at that time, which I didn't have a life coach, could have really, really helped me to move forward in that
Yeah.
process, you
Well,
know?
and the thing you're talking about, and it's so important, because I did just do a workshop, and I called it a dream fulfilled, transforming your vision into action. To your
Wow.
point, a lot of people do vision boards, but it's just a placard or on a picture frame unless you take the necessary steps to make that come alive, right? So it's not just about the vision board. Because if you make it just about the vision board, then it's just there. It's what are you doing now to make it come alive, right? You got to make it come alive. And that's the thing where, life coaches can really help. And I know, in our earlier conversation, you said you usually work with clients who already have that vision in mind. So they're coming to you with that vision in mind, and you're helping them to move along. I tend to work, well, I shouldn't say I tend to, I do both, but of late, it's really helping people to solidify what it is that where they see themselves, right, going. And then that work is the work, right? But the thing that you talked about is that intentionality about the planning, and it takes work. So if you're setting a goal at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, whenever you're setting it, and it's just being spoken, but you're not putting in the work to do it, 9 times out of 10, you may be slower to succeed.
Right,
A life
right,
coach can help you to move things along and help you get clearer on what it is that you're trying to achieve.
right,
Right?
right.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can go in so many different directions, because the thing is, honestly speaking, when you have a vision, right? So if you're doing what everybody else does, then you're just doing what everybody else does. Then there's a roadmap, there's an A, B, C, D, and you just do what everybody else does. But a lot of times when we have a vision and we want to do something different using our skill sets, which might be different from the person who's standing next to us, what happens is when we don't know, we a lot of times go to the resources that are right next to us.
Right.
And what works best for, my best friend would most definitely not work for me, because there are different things that we have a different makeup, we have a different frame of reference, etc. So um getting someone to help you um who's not going to have you steer towards their strengths, or try to infuse what you should do or what you ought to do, is so key, because
Right.
that 7-year time span, 7 years, seven's completion, from 2010, October 22nd, 2010 to June of 2017. Well, almost full seven, whatever. I listened to shoulds and ought tos.
Mm.
Those shoulds and those ought tos have me going over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, over here. If you could see how many times that business plan was revamped and rewritten, because I was trying to make sure that I included this person and trying to make sure I included this person and tried to make sure I included this person. And then finally, it just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm not touching it. I'm not doing any more with this. I'm going to go teach.
Yeah.
As I started working with kids and etc., I started to understand who I was and what my dream was and what my original intention was with the program. And that's how I was able to proceed. So, Michelle, I don't think it takes you 7 years to get somebody on the right track. But when you are
Exactly.
used to accommodating people and when you are used to helping and supporting and cheering others on, and it's time for somebody to say, hey, you know what, you go out there and do your thing. It's like, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where a life coach really comes into play, right?
yes.
Is to get you really focused, right? Holding you accountable, so that you can put your pieces together and make it make sense for you, right? As I tell people, I feel like what coaches provide is a white
Mhm,
space for
mhm.
you to think, right? A white space for you to think. And as we work with them, we're able to challenge based on how they respond to certain questions and what we're hearing from them, right? Because sometimes you're not even hearing what you're saying, you're speaking it, but having someone as like a life coach play it back to you is like, okay, is that what I said? Is that okay? Let me reframe this a different way, right? So that's the beauty, I think, of life coaching too, is allowing that space for you to think, right? Without having that outside noise
Mhm.
around you as well. So
Right.
what
I'm sorry.
go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead, Kellye.
And helping you to understand how you think, because some
Yeah,
people are extroverts, some people are ambiverts, some people are introverts.
right.
So some people get that the extra energy boost being in a crowd. Some people get it being talking one on one, and some people get it uh, in isolation or by themselves. And the funniest thing to me was I read an article about Oprah, and Oprah is an introvert. She
Mm,
says she has extrovert tendencies, but she's really and truly an introvert. She processes things in isolation. And I always thought that I was like, I can't take all these people around if I'm going to get to the point that I need to, because I'm a very accommodating person. So I want to help everybody. I want to make sure everybody's happy, like
yeah,
world peace.
I'm with. That's where you and I are very. That's why we connected, because I'm the same way, and that could be very draining. That could be extremely draining,
That's
right?
what that's where we are a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority
Yeah,
Incorporated, because
yeah.
we are here to serve. And
Hmm.
in that serving role, we miss sometimes what we want or what's best for us. So I have to, like I said, sit aside, set some time aside, and just kind of work through things. And um, people who are like me, who need that time to set aside to figure out exactly what it is. Um, they are great life coach candidates, because a lot of times, like you said, they're so involved in the crowd and pleasing everybody until they forget that they have a lot within them. They
Yes,
haven't taken the time to process it.
yes, yes, yes. So let's talk about and I appreciate you so much. I really do. Um
Appreciate
and like I
you.
said, we just connected this, today, just being able to talk live. But let's talk about finding a coach, right?
Yes.
It's important. Let's talk about that. Because like you said, there's different reasons people will come, and at different stages of their life where they would come to a coach,
Mhm.
right? I talked about finding a coach. I did a promotional kind of video, just talking about what I'm doing for the year, what I have planned for the year, and I talked about what coaching is. Right. Also talked very briefly about finding a coach, and to me, finding a coach is just like finding any other professional who you want to work with. Right. You gotta have that connection,
Yes.
right? You got to have that connection. If you don't have that connection, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work, right? Your views on that.
I definitely agree. And I think as a coach, you have a responsibility to say, If you find that it's not working, you also have a responsibility to say that it's not working, because I have worked with an individual who that just was not my wheelhouse.
Right.
Uh, but I look at I look at finding a coach kind of like every single life coach that I've met, I have not met two with the same exact personality.
Exactly.
I mean, they are the whole gamut. And when I look at finding a life coach, I look at like going to the salad dressing section in the grocery store. You
Yeah.
know, do you want ranch? Do you want ranch with bacon? Do you want ranch light? Do you want ranch spicy? Do you want poppy seeds? And you have the spectrum. So in order to get the most out of your time with a coach, go shopping.
Absolutely.
Shopping, find out. And people people know Michelle, and so please forgive me, people know Michelle. So it would be great if people who know Michelle know someone who's looking for a life coach, would say, hey, look, I know someone who has the same persona or same insight, or someone that can complement you. And yeah, if when you're looking for a life coach, make sure that you find one that can uh, understand where you are, and do your research. Ask your questions. Ask for a 30-minute uh, uh, trial consultation. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
30-minute.
And I think all of us, I don't know a coach who doesn't offer that. Right.
Right.
So leverage that free consultation to get to know the person. I mean, there have been times where I've met with people and I didn't feel like it was a good fit. Right. So it's a two-way street,
Right.
right? The good thing is there's so many of us who are out there, right? And I talk about the purity of coaching because a lot of people call themselves coaches, right? And it just depends on what you're looking for, right, in someone. But you need to interview just like you would, interview a doctor or go, or get an accountant or whoever it is, right? You want to make sure that your values and the way that you work just mesh. But the other thing I would say is you want someone who's going to challenge you, right?
Right. Right.
I
Right. Right.
think as a coach, that is part of our goal is also to make you think, right, and challenge your thinking a little bit as well, right?
Right.
Because it might be such on a path and really not hearing some of our thinking and thoughts and how it comes across. And that's where a coach can say, "Look, I heard this," or when you said that, you didn't sound excited. What's going on there? Right.
Right.
But that coach is important to have that relationship with that coach.
Right.
So
And
what's your
and the
closing?
one,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. And in the one instance where I said that the coaching was not a good match, I did several sessions with the person, but the person was uh, retired, and they were not looking to start a business. At first they thought they were going to start a business, and then they realized they weren't going to start a business. So they were it was more like just a conversation thing. And I felt as though that there could be someone else who was retired that could provide more insight on life as a retiree, when my expertise is more along the lines of entrepreneurship and you know um, advancing in corporate America, and those types of things, and how do you get beyond, or how do you build self-efficacy and self-confidence and that kind of stuff. He didn't need any self-efficacy, he didn't need any
Right.
self-confidence. He was very, very confident in
Right.
what he was doing, which was going to be retire. And once again, like I said, my clients typically have big visions. One particular person was starting a company, and the company, he already had a company that was very, very successful. And he's charging $200 for a book series, and he wanted to find out how to charge $800 for the next business. So how does he create that value to go from $200 to $800? So I helped him work on that $600 gap.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then, I've worked with a gentleman who was just starting out, and he'd been doing music, and he was trying to figure out, how does he venture into coaching and consulting.
Right.
So, I mean, I've worked with the gamut, but usually these are people who are, like I said, they have a vision in mind. Um, and the other person that I work with he thought that I was a great coach. But once again, like I said, I felt as though after a short period of time that it was better for him to work with someone in that retirement arena that
Right.
could motivate him, get him excited, talk about the granddaughter stories and, all that other kind of stuff.
Right, right. Transition. I call them sometimes transition coaching, right? Sometimes people are just, they're at a stage in their life and they're looking to do something else, whatever that something else is.
And
And
they don't.
say that again.
And he was leaving the work environment. He didn't want to be alone. He wanted somebody to talk to
Yeah.
during the day.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you so much. Like I said, I don't do a lot of impromptu sessions with folks, but I thought just coming off of the conversation you and I had today, and like I said, you're the one suggested and pushed me to that space in terms of, let's do a live. And I'm like, really, really, Soror? Is that what we're doing today? But both have passion for this space, and just the connection that we made today in terms of just wanting to do more. I think we both have a heart for helping people, right? And because of that heart, um just there's so much more ahead for both of us. So I appreciate you, and look forward. Who knows, we might do something else, might do something else in the future.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. So,
Yes, yes, yes,
like,
yes.
thank you so much for everything. I don't know if I said it really quickly, but part of the way that we met was I asked you for help,
Yeah.
help in getting it going, and just the details and the insight that you provided with regards to the help um, were truly a blessing. I needed some help with the whole marketing uh, gamut and getting to the next level of being a certified life coach. And like I said, just your attention to detail, your kindness, your support, your words of encouragement. You are amazing. You are amazing, and I thank you for
I
everything.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. And thank you. Um, and everybody, again, my next the kickoff of season 2 of Real Conversations with Michelle is going to be this Thursday. Joining our focus is going to be on jumpstarting finances, health, and career. So that is part 1. I have something planned for part 2, but getting a jump start on your aspirations and resolutions. And I have a financial planner joining me. I also have someone who owns her own fitness center, and she's also a health and diabetes coach. And I will talk about the career piece because, like I said before, 34 years in HR, I know a little something, something about that. So thank you for joining us, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye, Kellye.
Bye bye.
Take care.